Hey there, Kirsten here. Today I want to talk to you independent retailers about a topic that nobody really loves to talk about, and that's doing a physical inventory count in your store. And I'm going to share with you some of the tips and tricks that I've used with my clients and even when I was running stores that helped made that dreaded day more efficient and shorter. So what are some of the things that you might want to do to prepare for the day of inventory and on the day of? Before I jump into those tips, let me introduce myself. My name is Kirsten. I'm a retail business coach, and I'm passionate about helping independent retailers balance the flow of their inventory so they can maximize on opportunities and sales and minimize markdowns, but ultimately maximize profits. Now, in order to do my job, we need to have accurate inventory and data in our point of sale. So that brings me to, we should be trying to do physical inventory counts, I'd say once a quarter instead of just the one time a year that most of us do it, because the more we can stay on top of our inventory and the more accurate our reports are, the better information we have to work on and focus on our business. Fair? So that's my first tip. So now what are some of the things you can do leading up to your inventory count? Let's talk about the big one at our fiscal year end, okay? So the first thing you're going to want to do is sort and grade your inventory. Now, there's bound to be inventory that's been hanging on for dear life for a significant amount of time. Sometimes we have stuff sitting in a box that we bring out every time we have a sale or a clearance event, and it's just not moving. Well, here's two things we can do. I strongly encourage you to have a store sale to move some of this older merchandise, because the fewer items you have in your store, the less you have to count. So those ones that you've been dragging in and out of boxes or having on the sale rack, I want you to really evaluate what you think you can get dollar-wise for them and slash the price down and just motivate it out the door and have that sale. Now, once that sale is complete, you're going to want to take a look at what's left over, and stuff that's been hanging around for a while, you may just want to cut the cord and write it off, donate it, and get a tax receipt for it, because you don't want to pay any more tax on that value of inventory because it's not worth what your point of sale calls it. Okay, now we've narrowed down our store, we've had a sale. What are things we can do to leading up to the day of inventory? So anything we do have in boxes or even in display cases that are usually a lot of pieces and awkward to pull out on the day of, do a count sheet. All you need to do is write down the item number and the number of units in it. So on the day of inventory, you just work through the list and manually input that in quickly. Okay, so you can spend your time, get the staff going through all these cases and just put it on the door for now. And if you do happen to sell it before inventory, just get them to cross it out. That'll really speed up things on the day of inventory. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do is get the staff to go around, and if you're using point of sale, you probably have barcode price stickers on everything. So go through each piece and make sure that the tag is accessible and that it has a tag. And if you find items that don't have tags, spend the time on the days leading up before your inventory, tracking it down in your point of sale and creating a new tag so it's ready on the day of and you're not scrambling trying to find it when the day you're doing your count. The other thing you're going to want to do right before you do your inventory is run some point of sale reports. Do some inventory reports so you have a record of where you were at before your count. And you also want to do a complete data backup on your point of sale system, because things can happen in a physical count and you want to have accurate numbers. So at least if you have a backup that's the most recent, you can backdate if something goes sideways on the day of your inventory count. Make sense? All right, so now how do we conduct an effective inventory on the day of? Nobody loves hanging out for hours on end, scanning and walking through and counting things. So if we've done our job, every item in our store should have a barcode on it or should be on one of those count lists. Now, if you're using a point of sale, rent a portable inventory scanner so you can just scan around the store. But here's my tip to you. Most systems allow you to create zones as you're counting your store. So what you want to do, and I found this super effective in my store, is draw a map of your store and break it up into zones. And by zones, I mean bite-sized chunks. So a section of wall, one four-way rack. And the rule of thumb is make it as small enough that it has just the right amount of stuff that you're willing to lose if your inventory scanner battery dies. If you make it too big and you're 3/4 of the way through and you have to redo that and it's painful, your zone is too big. So you're going to want to draw a map, create all these zones, put a number on them. And on the day of inventory, you give your staff member a scanner, tell them to go count a zone. They go scan everything and download that in and highlight it in a color showing that that zone has been counted. Now here's an extra tip so that you can make sure your numbers are accurate. Have a second staff member go and count the number of units in the area that they scanned to make sure at least the number of units lines up, because that'll be a double check to make sure that nothing was missed. And then use a different color highlighter to highlight that zone, so you know that not only has the zone been scanned, but it's also been double checked and okay, because we don't want to have too much in the way of discrepancies, or else we're going to have to recount that zone. Does that seem helpful? Now, the last thing you're going to do when you update your inventory is run a new set of inventory reports and also scan through those discrepancies to make sure that they're logical. We all have shrinkage. Can we account for that? If there's a very big discrepancy in a certain area, could there be a section or a box or something that we've missed that we might need to go back and check on? Because once we upload that data to our point of sale station, we're going to be running with those numbers for our future reports to run our business. So I hope that was helpful. Nobody loves doing inventory counts. I know it. I've been there, but these can make you speed up the process a little bit. And my bonus tip to you is it's not as painful if you're doing it more regularly. So if you can maintain quarterly inventory counts, even if they're just cycle counts in certain departments, your discrepancies are going to be fewer and you're going to have a much better handle on your inventory, and it's going to give you much more valuable reports to work off to help you plan and work your business. All right, I hope that was helpful. Happy counting. Bye.